So the reason why that I am doing this video channel is because I'm trying to use my success story being autistic to give hope to you guys, the viewers, either if you're a parent, a sibling, a friend of someone who is autistic, maybe you're autistic yourself. And so I just want to give everyone the chance to see the upside of being autistic and the fact that you can definitely see me speaking very fluently because I had to go through so much education, a lot of dedication on my part, on everybody else, including my parents, my siblings, friends, everyone that got involved in developing me to be a socially independent person like that I am right now. Like, you know that I'm married to a beautiful wife. I have a 6-year-old daughter. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I just wanted to let you know that there's an upside for being autistic. And all I have to say is, being autistic, it's not a disability, it's a privilege. So, with that out of the way, let's get started with today's video. What's going on everyone? I'm Tyler Shelton. This is Coffee with the Bearded Reviewer. And today, folks, is the very first episode for the Halloween-themed month of October. So, without further ado, let's get started with today's review, which is for the movie Ghostbusters. And I have a very special guest that's part of it. So, let's get started with today's review. Who are you going to call?
Ghostbusters!
Yeah. So, what's up, everyone? I'm Tyler Shelton, and I'm Coffee with a Bearded Reviewer, and this is the time that we are now celebrating Halloween. And so, what is a better way to start off this new month celebrating a timeless classic, Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
So, I got the chance to get these guys to be part of this whole review. So how about you guys tell everyone who you are and where they can find you? Hand it off to you guys.
You got it. Well, my name is Zach Wiseman, and this is Dylan. We have a comedy group kind of thing, and we call ourselves Some Nobodies. We do have a bunch of podcasts. One of our podcasts is called Silicon Angels, and that podcast just wrapped up season 1. And that kind of is a futuristic true crime podcast that Dylan wrote mostly. And it's kind of goes around the IT department of a robotics manufacturing and the stupid calls that those people have to deal with. We also have a podcast called The Podcast, a podcast show. And that's a show where Dylan and I, we find very, very bad podcasts and we review them. Some are actually more just,
they're weird.
Yeah, weird podcasts. We have some that are under-listened and underappreciated, but most of them are really just bad.
Yeah.
And so we put those together in a little bit of a highlight clip and review those. And we're also currently reviewing the HBO hit series Lovecraft Country. So if you listen to podcasts anywhere, you can just search Some Nobodies and you'll find us anywhere.
Most of the top spots.
Yeah, true. And our website is somenobodies.com, so you can easily find everything that we do there.
Yeah.
But yeah, go anywhere and type in Some Nobodies and you'll find a bunch of dumb stuff that we do.
Yeah.
And I'm the talker mostly. And Dylan,
yeah, I'll cut in when it's appropriate.
Yeah, Dylan does a lot of the writing.
Well, that's awesome, you guys. Hold a sec.
Coffee time.
So anyways, I'm absolutely happy that you guys are part of this. So how about we just kick off with what our number one thing that we enjoyed about Ghostbusters. So how about you guys start off with what you think is like your personal favorite aspect of this movie?
I mean, to start, I like how the danger takes itself very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
But there is plenty of humor and just kind of like tongue-in-cheek sarcasm throughout, to the point where if there wasn't that much humor, people would not call it a comedy. But Ghostbusters is remembered primarily as a comedy, despite the fact that all of the supernatural threat is taken pretty seriously in the actual story. Everybody takes it seriously. They're very earnest about it.
Yeah.
But it's a funny movie within that framework.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, very similar to Dylan's point, but for me, I like how the stakes start off very, very small. Like where the movie starts out, it's like, oh, there's just kind of like a dirty library. That's it. Like somebody's just kind of haunting a library. But by the end of the movie, it is New York style disaster. The world's about to end. And that kind of ramps up so fast, and which I think is a bit different than most 80s movies where it either starts off big and you have to figure it out or whatever. But yeah, the fact that how serious they take the science while being a comedy, I think is the best part. Rewatching it, that is the best part.
That's very well said. Yeah. One thing I do appreciate about this movie is just that it's just got like this dry, sarcastic humor all throughout the film.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look back at this movie, I'm pretty sure back in the 80s, I'm sure the special effects were kind of like at the top chart. But now that you're like in the year 2020, it's completely clear what is not going to age well.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, like, it felt like that it was only the actual computer graphics that is just not going to age well. But I still think that the animatronics holds up. Like, I do think the animatronics is just as good as Jurassic Park. Like, you can definitely tell what is practical effects and what is special effects. But overall, I just really enjoy just how just kind of like this movie is just kind of like it kind of feels like it's a montage of sarcastic humor, which I absolutely love. Like, this is kind of the humor that you can get from like even probably from Gene Wilder and some of his other crazy movies.
Yeah, one of the things that Dylan and I were talking about while rewatching it again today was we were actually looking at it specifically for the special effects to see if it does hold up. And granted, we were watching a VHS tape, but really there's only one scene that the special effects you can kind of see like, oh, this looks really janky.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you're right. Like it all holds up.
Yeah.
Really, Stay Puft looks amazing.
Puft looks really good.
Yeah, and the animatronics of the dogs are spot on. Yeah,
they are. Oh yeah, but I think I know what scene you're talking about when it made the special effects look kind of crappy. Are you talking about the scene when you see Rick Moranis run away from that demon dog?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. That's the exact scene, right?
Yep.
That's the only part you're like, oof, that looks kind of weird.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Other than that, it's a cool movie, and I think the humor stands up. Like everything that Rick Moranis does is so funny, and it's still funny today.
Yeah.
And Bill Murray, I mean, his jokes are on the raunchy, horny side, but
right.
But the comedy stands up. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And you know what? Now that I'm kind of like more grown up, and now that because I haven't seen this movie not until maybe about like 10 years ago. So there's like this big gap since I've last seen the movie. But when I think about Bill Murray, especially his character, he's kind of like one of those characters that it almost feels like he's kind of like the black sheep of the group. Because he really doesn't see it in the way as like the rest of the Ghostbusters do, because you kind of see this guy, he's kind of a jerk.
He's also kind of the instigator for a lot of it. He's the one who convinces them to go into private business. He's the one who convinces Ray to put the third mortgage out on his house. He's the one who kind of initiates the entire Dana Barrett thing, and through him they get involved in the Gozer stuff. Yeah. And he's also the one who doesn't take it as seriously as the rest. He's the one who's cracking those constant, just one after the other jokes at the expense of everyone around him. He's kind of a sleazeball too.
A little bit.
Yeah, he's real sleazy. But yeah, I mean, him and Rick Moranis are really the only two people that are throwing comedy into this movie.
I would say
it's going to be
Egon.
Oh yeah, that's dry humor though.
It's very dry, but it's there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh, you mean Dan Aykroyd?
No, Ivan Reitman.
That's it.
Who?
Egon.
Oh yes.
Yeah, he has that dry kind of scientific humor because he's very funny in general.
One of my favorite lines is, "You're a real humanitarian." I'm not entirely sure he's human, and he just delivers it so deadpan. But it's a funny line because he's taking all of this in stride as just like, well, I'm not entirely sure he is. Like, yeah.
Yeah, all of his lines are funny for no real reason. They're just, they're great.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But the good thing about this movie is that it just felt like that these guys, they're like, it's kind of hard to say, but they are almost kind of like the Trinity of the Justice League, like what you got with Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. They kind of have this dynamic trio thing going on. Like their chemistry is just so on point. Just anytime when they do a jab at each other, or they try to do a jab against that environmental dude.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But oh my gosh, like I just couldn't hold in my laughter. I couldn't hold in my smile, because anytime when I saw these guys, it just made me smirk.
Yeah, like, Bill Murray brings so much, just so quick-witted and such like just timely, like witty remarks that he really catches everybody off guard. And, when looking back and you do a little bit of research on it, you find that his character was actually written to be John Belushi. So that would have made that movie way different,
Oh, yeah.
So I'm actually, even though I'm not a big Bill Murray fan, I'm happy he's in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the crazy part is that I completely forgot that Bill Murray and, no, I'm sorry, not Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, they apparently combined together, and they are the ones who actually wrote the story.
Yeah.
And I completely forgot that was the case. And I don't know the whole story, but it seems like that they were writing Bill Murray's character to be for John Belushi. Mm-hmm. But they decided to go with Bill Murray because they've just had that history. They already had that chemistry when they worked in Saturday Night Live. So it just made a lot of sense. It felt like that we were watching a Ghostbusters Saturday Night Live. It just felt like one long skit that just spanned for an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's kind of what it is. It starts out as a skit. It's a funny, weird thing that just all of a sudden becomes real. And then you have a half an hour of a ghost war.
It does feel like something that would be an SNL skit.
Yeah.
Like, these guys, they're hunting down ghosts like exterminators. Like, yeah, it's... But they make it work for, an hour and 40 minutes?
Oh, absolutely.
Like it feels, there's never any moment where you're going, it moves. When something doesn't happen, something happens.
Yeah, very well paced.
And when I had the chance to look through, especially the moments when they had like the action scenes, when they got those photon lasers, I actually timed how much they actually used it. They only used them just for 1 minute and 36 seconds.
Huh.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's it?
Yeah.
It's such a signature thing from the movie.
Yeah.
It's what people remember, the proton packs, yeah.
It's like the Beetlejuice effect.
Yeah, or Godzilla.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in Beetlejuice, like everyone remembers Beetlejuice. Like Michael Keaton is so famous in Beetlejuice, but Beetlejuice is only in that movie for 11 minutes. Well,
yeah.
For some reason, that's what everybody remembers out of that movie.
It is called Beetlejuice.
Yeah,
that's fair.
But you know what? I think that's just the very reason why this movie is such a classic, is that they just found a way to make like even some of the smaller stuff to become so famous, because this was just meant to be a passion project by these two very funny actors, and they just made this movie to be a classic. And you're kind of remembering kind of like the smaller stuff, like stuff that did not have that much screen time. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, how much stuff became iconic because of just this movie? Like Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is in it for 3 minutes.
If that.
And that is, like, people think that's a real mascot for things. The proton packs are, amazing. Slimer is amazing.
There is no X, only Zool. That line is parodied everywhere.
Yeah, this thing became iconic immediately and made so many things pushed into the zeitgeist because it is the perfect amalgamation of comedy at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
But
I still think that the crazy part is that this movie was meant to be a comedy. I mean, when you see these guys and you see the logo, it almost feels like it's not meant to be a comedy.
Yeah.
Just by the face cover, like, I mean, you would see these very funny actors, but you're not really seeing them as funny actors. You are seeing them as like these. Okay, these look like ghost exterminators. Like,
Yeah.
this looks like it's meant to be like a horror drama movie. But the first time I've ever seen this movie, I really thought that this was meant to be like a very dark horror movie. But when I first saw it, I'm like, I love it. Ding,
Yeah.
ding, 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 ding.
Well, if this came out in the 90s, it would have been a horror movie.
The second one is kind of a horror movie. It has a lot of scary stuff in it with like the baby being abducted and like a lot more intense horror imagery in that second one.
Yeah.
This one
absolutely.
This one doesn't rely on any physical humor either. Like, this is all written humor dialogue.
Yeah, dialogue.
There's no slapstick or anything.
Yeah, true.
Except Bill Murray.
Yeah. But you know what? I really do think that the intro, it just does a really good job setting up the whole movie.
Yeah.
Even in the beginning, it kind of felt like that they were doing a little bit of a joke. Like, you don't see a ghost, but you're going like, books are flying.
Yeah.
Shelves are coming out. And even just the way that they filmed it, they really didn't make it feel like it's like a Saw or like a very intense horror movie. They made it feel kind of campy in a way. Like, do you get what I mean though? Oh,
absolutely. Yeah, it has like a little bit of feeling of like the early like Sam Raimi movies where when you would get like a ghost, it'd be like a rah, shock kind of thing, and you can even see the beginnings of like Tim Burton kind of stuff where like it is just weird flash kind of stuff. But the horror isn't meant to be funny and it isn't really meant to be scary, but 80s kind of Goonies campy. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy because I really do think that when it comes down to like a specific decade of cinema, I really do think that the 80s dominated it so much because not only you got Ghostbusters, but you also got the likes of like Star Wars, Indiana Jones, you got like E.T., just like all of these other big cinematic masterpieces, and then you got like Ghostbusters here. The cool thing about Ghostbusters, it really felt like that they were kind of like making fun of the trope of sci-fi.
Yeah, that's true.
A little bit.
Yeah, but it also feels like an origin story of like what could be a Tony Stark style thing. I mean, if you think about it, it's just a smart guy who creates a bit of a suit to stop a worldwide pressure. So
the franchise rights alone will make us rich beyond our wildest dreams.
Yeah,
Bill Murray says that in that movie.
He's just a money-hungry dude. And it's such a cool movie. Like watching it so many times when you start just looking at what the plot line is. Because like a lot of people, when you try to tell somebody, hey, explain to me what Ghostbusters is. And they go, oh, it's just these people exterminating ghosts. But no, there's actually a very weird plot line under there where Bill Murray is just trying to make a lot of money by, kind of...
get kicked out of academia.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of weird shiestiness going on, and he's just trying to steal money, kind of. But then there's this other storyline where two ghosts kind of have to have sex to open a gate to let, this worldwide destroyer in.
It's like the culmination of a cult's plans at the perfect time that these people start noticing ghosts become more prominent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is weird when you get down to what the actual story of this movie is.
But you know what? When it came down to the climactic battle, I don't know why, but I was getting the vibe of like Universal Studios set, especially when you see that earthquake before they go up.
Oh yeah, the levels of ground. Yeah,
like it just really didn't feel like an earthquake. It felt like that you were just seeing like Universal Studio machinery happening. You're just seeing like
the one cop car on its side a little bit. Yeah. But I really do think that like all the set pieces are so fantastic. It just gives you kind of like that feeling that there's always like a moment that is not wasted. Yeah. Well, they do that interesting thing where they make the city as much of a character as one of the Ghostbusters. And Dylan pointed out, we're watching it, how the same way that Sam Raimi makes, the city of New York a big deal in Spider-Man 1, the city is behind the Ghostbusters and they're cheering them on, and it becomes a character in itself. So that's why a lot of the set pieces feel better, because the set is a character while being, the setting too. So
that's true.
I thought it was very cool.
But you know what? You just reminded me about one of Sam Raimi's other movies. I always forget the name of it. It's the one that has that guy that appears as a cameo in the Spider-Man movies, but he plays the was Ash in Evil Dead. That's it.
Evil Dead, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in a certain way, it feels like the Ghostbusters is just like a lighter version of Ash versus the Evil Dead. Like, just something very campy, very enjoyable, but just has kind of like that little smudge of dark undertones.
Yeah, I think Bruce Campbell pulls off what Bill Murray does, which is wild arrogance while being surrounded by something that's bigger than him that he's not really giving as much credit as he should.
Absolutely.
Because you can see the point in the movie where Bill Murray decides that this is a serious event, and that's kind of when the comedy stops. And then that's when you go into the final battle. Mm-hmm. So, I can definitely see early Sam Raimi in this movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this movie kind of like inspired him into doing this kind of stuff. But that even talking about Sam Raimi, I'm just overall excited for some of his next future movies that he's going to be doing. I'm sure you guys are excited to see him actually directing the next Doctor Strange.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm so excited about that one.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
But the crazy part is that there's already word going out that he's actually going to be doing kind of like a Doctor Strange story along with a Spider-Man story that apparently we're supposed to get both Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire to come back as their Spider-Mans.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx just signed on to it to come back as Elektra. So.
Oh my gosh, how are they going to do that?
I have no idea. I do not know. But, hey, if Sam Raimi's in, I'm in. I like that.
Me too.
Yeah, I think he does great stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. But just to get back onto Ghostbusters, I did want to ask you, how did you feel about the story? Like, do you think this is a story that can hold up to this day?
Yeah, I think so. It's about, like I said, it's about some academics they do fringe research and they get kicked out for it. So one of them decides to like, hey, let's go into business, and they do, and it just so happens that it is a time that they capitalized on it.
Yeah.
And I think that does apply. Like, I think that works nowadays. And then there's the whole cult angle. And if anything, it feels like cult storylines are becoming more and more prevalent in recent media. Like, Leftovers covered them. Watchmen kind of has it with the Dr. Manhattan stuff.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Lovecraft Country has it going on. Mm-hmm. And that's been going on for a long time. I think it's still relevant.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about some movies that were made in the 80s that cannot be remade now, like Back to the Future, just cannot be done now.
Yeah.
But Ghostbusters, 100%. Like, the storylines all work. They're very current. There's nothing about that movie that is dated except for the soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's dated in a great way.
Yes, it is obviously an 80s soundtrack, but it's not bad.
Oh, man. Like, you can't replace the theme song. Like, it became such a staple in cinema.
Yeah.
Played on the radio.
Yeah, you play those first four things that and people know it immediately and they're in.
Exactly. Like, it's just crazy that but you know what the crazy part is that I really do think that this Ghostbusters theme song is just one of the most iconic, recognizable theme songs in all of cinema. Yeah. Like, it's really up there with the likes of like the space scrolling theme song from Star Wars. It's like up to that caliber.
Yeah, when you sent me that text earlier about the song being like that iconic, I tried to think of another song's theme like quickly, and the only one I could come up with was Star Wars and Superman.
Mm-hmm.
And
how about Jaws?
Jaws, yeah. I mean, yeah, obviously that is way, it's yeah, I mean, that is one of the most like iconic sounds. But
Pacific Rim.
Two notes.
It's got Tom Morello on guitar. How could you not love that?
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, that song is great.
Oh yeah. And so, what do you think about some of the side characters, such as like Rick Moranis, Sigourney Weaver? Like, do you think they are such relevant characters within the story?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this movie somehow is perfectly cast. I mean, Sigourney Weaver being like from Alien, and you see her as like a sci-fi, just badass. And then when you see her in this movie where she is
she's an accomplished woman. She
Yeah.
plays in the orchestra. Like,
Yeah,
she's
absolutely.
a professional musician in New York. She lives on Central Park.
But then seeing her get possessed and taking on a whole different role where she's not as strong, like physically. And yeah, I think that her role is great.
Yeah.
Rick Moranis is perfect in every single scene that he's in. Like he makes like my body just lighter because I'm excited every time he comes on the screen. I'm like, this is gonna be perfect. I love it.
I do feel like that. I do feel like that I need to just kind of like say this just because I'm not sure if you guys heard what happened to Rick Moranis, but he apparently was attacked just randomly on the street, and I just want to say, hey, my prayers go out to you, man. My prayers go out to you and your family, because I know that these are hard times, but dude, we just hope that you stay strong through this whole thing, because what happened to him is unspeakable. Like
awful. I mean, the guy he's kind of shied away from publicity for so long, and then he finally reemerges, and then somebody just does something stupid.
Completely unconscionable.
It's awful. Yeah, absolutely awful.
It's so bad. Like the last time I've ever seen him do anything is that he actually appeared in a commercial with Ryan Reynolds, and I can't remember what the commercial was for, but just seeing him on the screen, it just brought me back to my childhood.
Yeah. Even Ryan Reynolds came out like today or yesterday and kind of acknowledged like, hey, I know that I brought Rick Moranis back into the spotlight and I blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's absolutely awful. I mean, New York is a crazy place, but
yeah,
it's awful.
But yeah, my prayers go out to him, and I just really hope that he is good.
Yeah.
If I heard correctly, I think he might have suffered a concussion, but I'm just really hoping that he heals very quickly.
Yeah, same here.
But more on a cheery note, I did want to ask you one more question in regards to Bill Murray himself. Like, do you think, despite him being kind of like that one character that's kind of like the douche of the group, but do you still find him like charming, and do you think that he had kind of like a character arc? Like, you feel like that he's less of a douche by the end?
Hard answer.
So I'm going to say that his character is very needed. His character is the crux of the entire movie. Without his character, this movie does not happen. He is a slime ball, and knowing, okay, so we know that Ghostbusters 2 exists, and he's still a slime ball in Ghostbusters 2.
Whether it's canon or not.
Yeah.
Right, and we do know that that's not his baby.
Yes.
So something happened to make them break up. I'm going to say that he has a subtle character arc, but he is still a sleazeball.
Sleazeball by the end, a sleazeball with maybe a heart of gold. Maybe it's tarnished a little bit.
Maybe.
He's not reformed.
If there is a female in the scene, he's hitting on her. He's hitting on her.
Except for
Amy Potts.
Amy Potts.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever does. That's Egon. Egon and her have kind of
that's
that thing.
fair.
And in Ghostbusters 2, she winds up with Rick Moranis' character.
Well, that makes sense.
I guess.
Yeah. It does make sense, especially just that they're just kind of like both kind of like those quirky characters. Like it made sense for them to end up together.
Yeah, it's like they kiss a mirror.
But I did want to ask you, how do you feel about Bill Murray dying? I don't think he played the same character, but he dies in the 2016 Ghostbusters. How did you feel about that?
I don't think Dylan watched that.
I haven't seen it. I know that he gets thrown out a window.
Yeah.
And he's playing an asshole professor or like a dean.
Yeah. There's a lot about that movie that is questionable.
Yeah, there's a lot of very questionable stuff. Like, I think the only saving grace from that movie was just the special effects and Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth's character was perfect. Special effects were great. My problem with that movie is that the three main leads were the same character. All three were just
Yeah.
the ditzy kind of smart girl, and that
Yeah.
not good.
But you know what? Like, I totally can see what you mean. Like, it felt like that they were just kind of like playing the same character, but they just could not figure out what character they're supposed to be, and so it just kind of felt like that they were playing one character at the same time.
Yeah.
It just didn't go with the flow.
Right. They were all Egon, and it just that can't work, you know, because there was no Bill Murray push, and there was no Dan Aykroyd kind of pullback. So that movie just is not good.
But you know what? I'm not dismissing that these actresses. I really do think that all four of these actresses, I think they are really, really good actors. Like,
oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm only talking about the writing of the movie.
Yeah,
I love all of them. Kate McKinnon is one of the funniest people on the planet.
Yeah,
she's
and
funny.
yeah,
I really
phenomenal.
And I really like Melissa McCarthy. She is hilarious.
And Leslie Jones will make me laugh every time she's on TV. So I'm all for the actors in the movie. I just think that the writing of this movie was kind of lazy.
Yeah, it definitely felt very lazy. It felt like it was just kind of like a poor excuse for them to do like a different version of the original.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I'm pretty sure they could have made a good movie, but it just felt like it was just a lazy copy and paste from the original.
Yeah, I felt like if the actors involved, if like Kristen Wiig and Kate McKinnon, if they wrote the movie, it would have been way better.
Yes.
Totally.
Kristen Wiig's a good writer.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
But as far as Bill Murray goes, yeah, his character was weird in that movie, and I don't know. Like I said in the very beginning, I'm not the biggest Bill Murray fan, so if he goes out in a movie, I'm okay with it.
I think the funniest death that he's ever had was from Tomorrowland.
Zombieland?
I mean, yeah, you're right. Zombieland.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Wait a minute. Remember him in there?
Oh my gosh, when they kill him off, he's all like, the only movie I wish I never did was Garfield.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great cameo.
But yeah, overall, I really do think that Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, I think they are such great actors. They just had the chemistry. They just had the right timing of humor. And overall, this is just one of those movies that when you see it, when you hear the theme song, you can't help but smile.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm not saying it's like the most perfect movie, but it's just one of those movies that you can't hate.
Yeah, it's hard if you're flipping channels, which people don't really do anymore, but it's hard to flip past this movie. If you see it's on, you pretty much will just watch it wherever it starts.
Yep.
It's a fun movie, and it is a staple of what sci-fi comedy should be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're
one thing I really did enjoy about this movie very much so is that I just really liked how they did the character development for Sigourney Weaver's character.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, she's done other roles such as like being Ridley from Alien. Like we've already seen her being a complete badass. And then you got a movie like this. She's not so much as like a damsel in distress. Like you can definitely tell that she can hold her own, but just with the whole paranormal activity that was happening in her house, she couldn't do it by herself. She needed help. Mm-hmm. But you can definitely see that like she's like a very strong character, and I just really like it that they didn't overly sexualize her. Do you get what I mean, though?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, in the 80s, especially the 80s and the early 90s, most women were designed to be a character push for a man. To get Sigourney Weaver, like what he said, you know, she plays in the orchestra. She has her own thoughts. She has her own desires. You know, for a man in the 80s to write a female role that has depth is rare. And I think that's one of the things, and I'm glad you pointed that out, because I think it's one of the things that makes this movie so good, is that she is a very thought out and intelligent character that makes smart moves, not for a man or for the plot.
She exercises her agency.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great character.
So I did want to ask you guys one more question, and it's just in regards to what would be the rating that you would give this movie from 1 to 10?
I'm going first?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I talk too much.
out of 10?
Yeah, 8?
It's not
All right.
I don't know that I can give anything necessarily a 10. I guess I'm one of those people.
Well, Parasite.
Parasite is, if I had to give it my own rating, it's 5 out of 5.
That's fair.
I think 10's a little too granular for my taste.
Oh, God.
But
Okay.
I say 4 out of 5, 8 out of 10. It's one that pretty much everyone is probably going to enjoy, but I think that might start dropping off at a certain point. I think at a certain age, it's going to start looking quaint to a certain demographic.
Yeah. I guess.
If only because they've grown up used to what movies have become, and comedies have become especially. There's no slapstick. There's very little obvious improv in this movie. There's a lot of improv, but it's not the sort of improv we see where it's two people at a table and they obviously did 45 takes and then they take the funny bits from it.
Yeah.
But I would say that it's like a work of craft from people who were really passionate about the project, and it shows on every frame.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I'm going to say that I would give this 8 out of 10. I don't have a lot of problems with it, but I'll say that I find that the humor is still timely. I still laugh when I'm supposed to laugh. I don't find a lot of the jokes to be like, ooh, that's a little cringy. I do find some of Bill Murray's just overall behavior filth. But I think that this movie has some real staying power, and I will watch this over Ghostbusters 2 any day. Really.
Yes.
Yeah, I say 8 out of 10. It's a really good movie.
Yeah. And I kind of have like my own little rating system, because anytime when I review a movie, I usually scale it down by like these 5 factors, which is in story, characters, effects, entertainment value, and the overall aspect of the movie. And when I was just kind of like pondering over like the story, the characters, just everything about it, like a lot of the ratings were all within that 8 range. But then when I got down to the entertainment value, it was a total 10. And so it actually turned out that I would give this movie an 8.5 out of 10, just because it's just got a lot of good jokes that they totally land. It does have dry humor. It's just got like a lot of these different elements, and it just blends together like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, completely agree. It is. I mean, at the time, it's a very original story. I think the story still holds up now.
Oh yeah.
And I think 8.5 out of 10 is perfect.
Yep. I mean, the only reason why that I didn't give it a 10 is just because that I think it just had a lot to do with like a couple of those very jumpy moments of the CGI, especially with like the dog demon things.
Yeah.
Then you got like, I do feel like that the story, it could have been a little bit better. It just felt a little bit disconnected a little bit, because it felt like that they started off with the story about Zool, and you get this in the first movie, but then in the very middle you kind of forgot about that story, not until you get to the very end.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that is actually Bill Murray's character. I think that they have to make his character fit into the movie. And I think that's some disconnect for me. Because like what I was telling Dylan, like it feels like it's almost 2 movies put together, which is like an 80s comedy and then a very good sci-fi ghost story that blur together like 2/3 in.
So anyways, I'm absolutely glad that we got to do this. I can definitely tell that we all agree that this is like a 8-ish rating out of 10, which is absolutely awesome. And I really, really can't wait for me to watch the second one, because this is going to be kind of like, because what I'm going to be doing is I'm doing like a full-on Halloween themed review for this month.
Cool.
So the next one I'm going to do is A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, right on.
Oh, cool.
I just started watching it with my family just last night, and my daughter absolutely loves the movie. Like, she's all like, "Daddy, Daddy, can we finish it?" And I'm all like, "Not yet, because I need to take care of this. But after I'm done, we can finish it up."
Oh, cool.
Right on.
Yeah, we'll get back to that. It's a great movie.
It's a good one.
Yeah. But yeah, I just want to say thank you guys so much for being part of this, and I really hope that we can do more reviews like this. Overall, I had an absolutely awesome, fun time talking to you guys. And how about you guys tell everyone about like what? How can I put it? Like, what would be like the next movie that you would want to review with me in the case of like maybe like a Christmas themed movie?
Christmas themed. I'm gonna say Lethal Weapon.
That's pretty good. The obvious answer for Christmas for me would be Die Hard.
Lethal Weapon is preferred to a Christmas movie?
Yeah, it's a Christmas movie. Yeah.
I was actually thinking Thanksgiving because technically Spider-Man 1 from Sam Raimi takes place in Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's true.
That's true.
That Thanksgiving scene, which makes it
forgot about
the
that.
best Thanksgiving movie out there.
Yeah. I'm gonna agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as Christmas goes,
Wait, what's the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger with the superhero toy?
Jingle All the Way.
Yeah.
Oh,
Christmas.
yeah, Jingle All the Way.
No, I thought you were talking about Thanksgiving.
No.
Still.
Yeah, I'm with Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way would be pretty fun, actually.
And
Or
I
the
did-
Santa Claus 3.
I do want to ask you guys one more question, and it's just in regards to all the 80s movies. If you had to choose 5 movies from the 80s, what would you place in that top 5?
Top 5 movies from the 80s?
Yeah.
Alien.
Because I know that there's a lot of really good movies from the 80s.
E.T.
Ghostbusters? Maybe? Top
Top 5?
Top 5? No.
Wow, what a good question.
That's a good one.
Um,
The first ones I was thinking of were 70s.
well, Raiders
Back to the Future
Raiders of the
1.
Lost Ark.
Back to the Future 1.
Yeah, Back to the Future 1, Raiders of the Lost
Yeah.
Ark, E.T.
Yeah.
E.T.'s phenomenal.
It's been a long time
Oh,
since
yeah.
I've seen
Batman.
Okay. Yeah.
Batman 89. Obviously.
Are you talking about Danny DeVito or Jack Nicholson?
No, the Nicholson one. The 1989 Batman with the Joker.
Predator was like 78, wasn't it?
No, Predator's in the 80s.
Predator's in the 80s?
Yeah.
It's not top 5.
Oh, Predator.
You know, I would actually.
You think top 5 for Predator?
I would say it's definitely in the top 10. So we'll
I'd say
keep it in
top
there.
10.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
sure.
we're gonna go Raiders of the Lost Ark, E.T.
Back to the Future 1.
Back to the Future 1,
Predator.
Predator,
And
Batman 89.
Nice. Well, that is such a really good top 5 right there. I mean, the reason why that I was asking you is just because that this is the very first video that I'm doing with like my new brand, because I decided to go back into the time period when I was born, which was back in the 80s.
Nice.
So with like my new logo and with kind of like the whole new intro video that everyone is going to see, I just thought it would be a good idea that we could do like this 80s themed Halloween movie review.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the reason why I wanted to ask you. And the reason why I'm asking you is because what other 80s movies can I review? And so now that you kind of gave me your like top 5, I'm definitely going to review those movies.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
And if you guys ever want to review another movie with me with any of those top 5 ones, we can kick it.
Oh yeah.
Hey, if you want us on, you text me and we're on.
Yeah.
Awesome. So,
Appreciate you having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
absolutely. Thank you so much for being part of this. So just to close out with this video. I just want to say thank you guys so much for being part of this, and I just want to say thank you all for watching this video, and we will see you guys next time.